Brought to you by Penguin.
The Lion of Boaz-Jachin and Jachin-Boaz by Russell Hoban. Read by Matt Addis. Thou huntest me as a fierce lion, and again thou showest thyself marvelous upon me. Job, chapter 10, verse 16. Chapter 1. There were no lions any more. There had been lions once. Sometimes in the shimmer of the heat on the plains, the motion of their running still flickered on the dry wind, tawny, great, and quickly gone. Sometimes the honey-coloured moon shivered to the silence of a ghost roar on the rising air. There were no chariots any more. The chariots, wind-bereft and roadless in the night, slept with their tall wheels hushed in the tomb of the last king. The ruins of the king's palace had been dug out of the ground. There was a chain-link fence all around the citadel where the palace buildings, the courtyards, the temples, and the tombs had been excavated. There were a souvenir shop and a refreshment stand near the gates. The columns and the roof beams, fallen and termite-hollowed, had been labelled and cleared away. Jackals hunted among them no more. Where snakes and lizards had sunned themselves, the daylight came through the skylights in the roof of the new building that enclosed the great hall where the hunting of the king was carved in stone. The images of horses and men, chariots and lions, were stained by weather, worn by rain, pocked and pitted by the dust that had stung them when the dry wind howled. New walls were around them now, a new roof was over them. The temperature was controlled by a thermostat. An air conditioner made a whirring silence. Jachin-Boaz had a wife and a son, and he lived in a town far from the sea. Pigeons flew up from the square, circled above it, and came down to perch on clay walls, red roof tiles. The fountain sent up a slim silver jet among old women in black. The dogs knew where everything was, and went through the alleyways behind the shops like businessmen. The cats looked down from high places, disappeared around corners. Many of the women did their washing in stone sinks near the town pump. Tourists going through the town in buses looked out through the windows at the merchants who sold brass and ivory and rugs, drinking coffee in the shade of awnings. The vendors of fruit and vegetables smoked in the street. Jachin-Boaz traded in maps. He bought and sold maps, and some, of certain kinds for special uses, he made, or had others make for him. That had been his father's trade, and the walls of the shop that had been his father's were hung with glazed blue oceans, green swamps and grasslands, brown and orange mountains delicately shaded. Maps of towns and plains he sold, and other maps made to order. He would sell a young man a map that showed where a particular girl might be found at different hours of the day. He sold husband maps and wife maps. He sold maps to poets that showed where thoughts of power and clarity had come to other poets. He sold well-digging maps. He sold vision and miracle maps to holy men, sickness and accident maps to physicians, money and jewel maps to thieves, and thief maps to the police. Jachin-Boaz was at the age called middle life, but he did not believe that he had as many years ahead of him as he had behind him. He had married very young, and he had now been married for more than a quarter of a century. Often he was impotent with his wife. On Sundays, when the shop was closed and he was alone with her and his son through the long afternoon, he tried to shut out of his mind a lifelong despair. Often he thought of death, of himself gone and the great dark shoulder of the world.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?